You guys are watching NFL Daily. I am Tom Downey. It is a mailbag. We answer all of your questions live right here on Chat Sports. This is from Wednesday's live show. A super chat to begin from Mari Peoples. Does Mac Jones have a better season with the new offensive coordinator? I would say yes, he should have a better year. I'll pull up Mac Jones' stats here just for myself. He should have a better year with Bill O'Brien calling the plays than the disaster that was Matt Patricia and company, where he went from 22 and 13 touchdown interception ratio to 14 and 11 in fewer games, by the way. The yards per attempt dropped by a half yard. That is a significant amount of money. That is a lot from that standpoint there. So I think he will be better. The question is he going to be enough for New England long term? Let's see how it goes. He could reevaluate after year 3. From Pat Norris, so if Atlanta gets Lamar Jackson, how are we going to improve our defense? Pay the rookie class and free agents. We don't need him. So I would, if you are convinced that Desmond Ridder is going to be your franchise guy and he's going to be a stud, top 10, top 15 quarterback, then yeah, I don't think you end up needing him this year. But you have, as it sits right now, before other roster moves, you're staring down $55 million in salary cap space. Even if you don't do as backloaded of a deal, Lamar is going to count maybe 25 of that. You don't, when you sign a $10 million a year deal, for example, it's not really 10 hitting your cap in year one. It's more like 4 or 5 or sometimes even lower. So you can structure the deal to still have money available to spend in free agency. As for the draft picks, that is a very valid concern. I am of the mindset that I think you'd be better off adding that top 5, top 10 quarterback, because that's harder to find than it is to find a reliable, day 3 defensive contributor or third-round pick defensive contributor in the end. Evan Stewart, will Anthony Richardson go number 1 overall? Depending on which sports book you use, the Richardson odds have jumped significantly to be that first player taken in the 2023 NFL Draft. I understand the upside. I understand the traits, the size, the mobility, the arm strength that he brings, but I have a very tough time drafting a quarterback who could, at number 1, who could not complete 54% of passes. I think in the end, the Josh Allens are the outliers. And if you're constantly chasing Josh Allen, you're going to end up drafting Jake Locker a lot more than you will be drafting Josh Allen. So he wasn't that good at Florida. I know many Florida fans didn't like him. We got some here at Chat Sports. So he is the biggest boomer bust prospect in the entire NFL draft. Who will be that number 1 overall pick? Richardson is going to be a Bryce Young, a Jalen Carter, Will Anderson. Let me know your predictions at the pinned comments of today's video. So if an ad break comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. From Carter Reimer, could Miami trade Byron Jones and or Cedric Wilson plus picks for Jalen Ramsey? The issue here is I don't think Byron Jones or Cedric Wilson, at their contracts and contributions last year, have that much trade value. I think that you're not getting that much in terms of swap those for picks. You're getting a couple day 3 picks. With no first rounder, it's really tough for me to see him end up in Miami unless the Rams just straight up can't get a first for Ramsey at all. From Saquad's Barkley, if you're the Bears, would you rather trade for D-Hop or Mike Evans if both are available? My answer is yes. Contract-wise, I think Evans might be a bit more manageable short-term, long-term with an extension coming up in theory for him. But either of those guys would be great for Chicago. If you had that 32nd overall pick, could have got a great receiver in a trade. Super chat from Michael Ortman. What is the max the Bears will get for the number 1 overall pick? It does depend on how far down they go. I will make note that I've seen a lot of interesting trade packages from some Bears fans out there of just getting way too much back. There is not an obvious Trevor Lawrence, Andrew Luck caliber quarterback prospect this year. That does bring down the value a little bit. Are you going to get a significant return back? Absolutely. I think you should get at least one, if not, frankly, 2 first-round picks, plus other assets as well. Jimmy Productions. I don't want the Cowboys to draft Drake Maye from New York next year. That makes more sense. Well, you're probably not going to be in range for Drake Maye. Drake Maye and Caleb Williams are going to be the top 2 quarterbacks as we enter that draft cycle next year. Things, of course, can change. You got to be picking top 3. Cowboys haven't done that in a very, very long time. $5 from Dante Griffin. Is it a big deal that Justin Fields doesn't like playing in Chicago weather? Should the Bears trade him for picks and get Bryce Young at number 1? I don't think this is a very big deal. And the reason is, who here, if you got honest answers from every player in the NFL, who would rather play in cold Chicago weather versus, come December, nice Miami weather? That's just not how people are. So if I were Fields, I wouldn't have said that. But nobody actually likes the cold, outside of the few crazy people who do. But no one likes the cold over nice weather. Indiana doesn't matter that much because if Fields plays well, he's going to stick in Chicago because they give him a big fat contract, and money makes you feel warmer on the inside when it's all said and done. So I would not worry about that at all. Jeremy Wilson. Should the Bucs blow up and rebuild and trade Mike Evans to the Ravens for a second-round pick? I don't hate the idea. I think the issue for Evans, I think we actually have a big player L3 on this for you, Sam, on Evans from a previous show. You don't save that much money. You cut or trade pre-June 1st, you save $2.32 million. Post-June 1st, $14.5. You're not getting the second-round pick to the savings, so you're not maximizing it there. I bet they restructure him, frankly. I think they still try to be a little bit aggressive and don't blow it up with Evans right now. Today's show is sponsored by Cultivate, the free browser extension that brings transparency to your Amazon shopping experience. Cultivate shows you the brand, seller, or product origin and identifies local alternatives that support local community efforts while saving you money. With over 50% of Amazon U.S. sellers based in China, Cultivate offers a way to avoid trickery from these sellers and keep money in the U.S. economy. Cultivate offers alternatives that are on average 30% less expensive than Amazon, without any additional costs such as Amazon Prime. It can even identify local alternatives that you can pick up the same day. Cultivate users earn free donations as rewards for using the extension, and the more you use it, the more you earn in donations by increasing your level. In fact, Cultivate donates 51% of the revenue that they make on your purchase. So what are you waiting for? Go to wecultivate.us/chatsports and download Cultivate for free. Let Cultivate bring transparency, savings, and community support to your Amazon shopping journey. Support the show and download with our link. It'll be in the comment section and the description of today's video. It's wecultivate.us/chatsports. More super chats. Let's go. Cowboys quarterback after Dak, Arch Manning or Cade Klubnik? I am very hesitant to start anointing future quarterbacks when A, they've played 0 snaps in college or a handful of snaps. I think you've got 2 of the former highly touted 5 stars, so it's a good starting point. That could be 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 7 years from now. Let's see how it plays out. That is very much what I call a future Tom problem. From the greatness of the Raiders, is linebacker weak in this year's class? A little bit. I don't think there's that off-ball, I'll go even Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah guy because he fell because of a heart condition into round 2. I think guys like Drew Sanders, Trenton Simpson, Dan Henley kind of fit that late-ish round 1, but probably better, round 2, maybe round 3 category, maybe for Henley on that front there. If you're looking for a prime Levante David, I'm not sure you're going to find that in round 1, but I also think you should be spending draft picks at linebacker in round 1. Overall, it's a bit of a weak draft class. I don't think linebacker is the exception to that rule. Tony Fowler, who says no? Lamar Jackson for Justin Fields trade. Should be the Ravens, honestly. Like I'm a big believer in Justin Fields, but you're still hoping he becomes as good as Lamar Jackson. So if I were the Bears and the Ravens said we'll trade him straight up, I'm like, let's do it. I have $100 million, whatever it is in cap space, or at least almost to it. I'll pay Lamar happily and still build out my roster with all those draft picks I'll have there. So I think that the Ravens would say no because they'd be gambling on the same guy but younger and not as good of what they have, right? Pick a QB, let's say for the next 5 years. 7 years. Pick one. LJ for Lamar Jackson, JF for Justin Fields. From Jared G, if the Giants pay Daniel Jones $45 million, what is Geno Smith worth? 45? Geno is older. He turns 33 this year, which that's fairly old for a bit of a one-year wonder. I would bet Seattle and Geno work out something closer to the franchise tag number, around $32 million on maybe it's a 2 or 3 year prove-it type deal, but I also don't think Jones is worth $24 million. Tyler M. Who do you think will be the Raiders' next or QB next year? I think either AR-12, Jay Stroud, Jimmy G. Tom let out a Raiders. I can't do it quite well as Mitch does. That's why I'm not the Raiders host, right? My concern is it ends up being Jimmy G, which I don't want for the Raiders because that's just not going to be good enough. Steve, I think the Titans moves today. That was cutting Fat Randy, Taylor Lewan, Robert Woods, and Zach Cunningham. I thought pretty expected. Those guys were either not that great and or hurt. So I think those were all very logical roster moves by Tennessee. I saw someone say they're rebuilding. I don't think so. I think that was expected from that front. Now, if you want to be a part of our mailbags, you got to be subscribed. Free videos every single day right here, plus twice weekly live shows at Chat Sports. Christopher C. I think Pitt needs to re-sign Lewan after his release today. Needs to sign Lewan. Biggest need is left tackle Pittsburgh. Thoughts? I'm fine adding Taylor Lewan, but I do think we have to be objective about who he is at this point in his NFL career. I do not trust him to stay healthy. Now, having Dan Moore as your backup option for Pittsburgh, I think makes it a logical fit. But he's 31 years old now. I think he turns 32 somewhat soonish. He's missed a lot of time. If you get him cheap, yes. I think left tackle is an area of concern for Pittsburgh. But I wouldn't assume you're getting Pro Bowl, borderline All-Pro Lewan at this point in his career. From Jimmy Productions, I think the Niners wish they had Mac Jones. I don't actually. As I thought Brock Purdy played pretty similarly to what we've seen the best out of Mac Jones. I think what the Niners wish was they had a healthy quarterback in the playoffs. That team has had more quarterback injuries for whatever weird, unlucky reason than you should ever expect to have. I think, honestly, having a Brock Purdy, Trey Lance camp battle isn't the worst thing for San Francisco. From Roman Ham, Jesse Bates will be available. Which defensive lineman do you think will be available for my Falcons? Well, unfortunately, the Daron Payne dreams for half of the Chat Sports team channels are dead now. Commander's going to franchise tag him. I think Javon Hargrave would be an awesome fit. Maybe a Dalvin Thomas if the Vikings don't work out a long-term deal with him. One of those two guys, Dark Horse Draymond Jones, would be awesome additions for Atlanta. Dave Davidson with the Bucs trade Mike Evans. I'm going to go with no in the end. I think they're going to hold on to him. There are way too many receivers who are on the market, have trade rumors around them to make me think they're all going to get moved. I think Evans ends up sticking in Tampa. So when it comes to a trade candidate, I want you to head down to the comment section and drop a player who you think ends up getting traded this offseason in the NFL. Alize Pin. Tom, imagine Rodgers, the quarterback, throwing to CD or Odell, Gallup and T.Y. and Tony and Remek. Who's going to stop that? Oh, hey, here's the issue I run into. There's like Aaron Rodgers to the Cowboys. The money makes it stop. Also, does McCarthy want that and Rodgers want that? The issue you also run into is two of those guys you mentioned, Gallup and T.Y., weren't that good last year. And you can do the blind resume standpoint of Dak and Rodgers last year. Beyond the interceptions, which of course matter, now they got their best year. Dak was just as good. Rodgers didn't have his best year, and he goes, well, the playmakers. It's not like the Cowboys did either. If I'm Dallas, I'm actually adding playmakers and not actively making my offense worse and going, how did we get worse? We know how you got worse. You never replaced Amari Cooper properly. From I'm the Man, with QBs, if we want to see go to Carolina, the Jets, Tampa, Houston, and the Raiders. I'll go quick here. Draft pick for Carolina. Let's go Derek Carr to the Jets then, so I can put Rodgers in Vegas. Tampa, cheap Jimmy G stopgap. Houston, insert whatever draft pick you want there. Baker, pass, Sam. Joseph Gilman, what happened to Eddie Goldman? Now that is a blast from the past. Eddie Goldman just kind of faded out of the NFL. I think some injuries and honestly some weight issues just kind of combined too much there. He did retire, by the way. The Falcons signed him last year, and then he retired. Didn't even play a snap for him. As for Matt Ioannidis in Chicago, I think that works. I think they want a more disruptive 3 technique, but that's a good backup name as well.